Do you need more evidence? More evidence? I'm going to tell you about a trash collector in Paris. But first, I was jury foreman for a murder trial some years ago. It was a gang execution. The man on trial, not the trash collector, the man on trial offered the defense that he unloaded his 9mm at the guy from close range just to scare him. I guess he did. Scared him to death. I can tell you, I looked carefully at the evidence in that trial, and there was more than enough evidence to make the right decision. You see, evidence is very important. Over the decades, I've been asked a lot of questions about the existence of God, the deity of Christ, and the reliability of the Bible. And most questions have been sincere. Some asked from little more than curiosity, and that's okay. Others asked from a deep need for meaning, purpose, and even forgiveness. I love talking about these things with skeptics and seekers, helping people understand what the Bible says about God and life. And that's my goal in this video, to help you understand. In these discussions over the years, I've actually had a mixed reaction about my role, a somewhat dual role. On one hand, I'm just a guy in the witness stand offering a bunch of evidence that clearly gives proof. But on the other hand, I feel like a defense attorney defending God. Defending God? In that case, the courtroom has been turned upside down because God's not the one on trial. There's a lot of indisputable evidence about the God of the Bible, Jesus, and the Bible itself. But please listen carefully. Whether or not you believe all the evidence is not the point of this video. It isn't. But if the evidence is true, it's vitally important for your today and for your eternity. But that's not the subject of this video. Is there enough evidence? I can tell you there's plenty of evidence. Nonverbal evidence about God's character, power, and divinity. Nonverbal evidence. Listen to the start of David's Psalm 19. Here it is. The heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their utterances to the end of the world. You see, what that's saying is that the physical universe screams to us that there is a God. But as a skeptic, your response to that nonverbal evidence might be, yeah, okay, but how do I know who this God is? And how can he hold me accountable if he doesn't tell me his name? Those are good questions. But let me make this a little more complicated before making sense of it. In the New Testament, Romans 1:19 and 20 states this. Here it is. Because that which is known about God is evident within them, for God made it evident to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made. So they are without excuse. You see, these verses state that there is an internal and external evidence about God's character, power, and deity. And you know, in your heart of hearts, you know that there is a God. And as you look around your world, you see him even if you don't know his name. But that troubling end of Romans 1:20 could have caught your attention. It should have. Here it is again. So they are without excuse. Paraphrasing those verses, you and I have enough evidence so that we are without excuse. God's not on trial here. We are. Now here's the story of that trash collector I mentioned. He and his high school sweetheart married early, very early, and he started working on a garbage truck while she finished college. He worked hard, and he was soon in charge of the truck and in charge of its 3-man crew. Then he was managing 3 trucks for the owner, then 6, and then all 20 for the company. And in a few years, the owner retired and sold the company to him. And within 10 years, he had tripled the size of the fleet. Very successful, hard worker. But during that time, his wife earned a bachelor's and a master's degree in fine art. She grew to know and love the works of the masters: Renoir, Rembrandt, Rubens, Van Gogh, Monet, Picasso, and Dali. And she finally talked her husband into taking her on a vacation to Paris to visit her dream museums, art museums. But halfway through his third museum, feeling like it was his 30th, tilting his head side to side, staring at a modern art piece, a masterpiece, he said to his wife, "I don't like it." Her response caught him totally off guard. She said very bluntly, "It's not on trial. You are." That knocked the wind out of him. It changed his perspective. In the same way, Romans 1:20 could knock the wind out of you. Simply stated, there is enough internal and external nonverbal evidence so that you are without excuse. And God's not on trial here. You are. That should change your perspective. But you could plead, "I don't know who he is or what he wants. How can that be fair?" Good question. Very good question. Now here's the start. You don't need more evidence yet. You don't need more evidence yet. You need to respond to the evidence God has already given to you. Respond to the light you already have, and then God will reveal himself by name to you. Listen to Jeremiah 29:13. Great principle in that verse. You will seek me and find me, God. You will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. In the words of Jesus, Matthew 7, verses 7 and 8, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. So, respond to the nonverbal evidence that God has already given to you, and he will reveal himself to you. But you may be thinking, yeah, but how's he going to do that today? Well, start by looking in the Bible. Try reading the New Testament book of John, the Gospel of John. And here's a question about how God might be communicating to you today. Do you think this video just might be part of God's communication to you? Think about it. I'm John Morris, and this has been Just a Question.